Hello and welcome to Horror Tactics Week 12 updates. That is right. It is time for game release. And I am the lead Bilal, and this game is being developed in association with HomeTeam GameDev community. The link to join them is in the description below. Here are the additions and changes for this week. Abhishek did practice commit and added Calamity Rocket Shoot sound effect. Chris added credits text, and I did a lot of things, of course. Before checking out the gameplay, let's get on to some of the things that are crucial as a team lead and as someone who has been leading games at home team for quite some time, and that is the goals. I want to get better in points. Ever since I've gotten plenty busy with a lot of other things other than the home team stuff, of course, I couldn't find myself enjoying game dev as much as I used to do before, and so that is one of my goals, enjoying game dev. The second one is game design, and it is, I believe, one of the most toughest things to do when developing a game. And then there's also the cooperation and teamwork. What happened is that I pushed the project a little. I did some of the work and I actually enjoyed the game. And like with every new game project I enjoy initially, it's like an automatic thing, or you can say shiny object syndrome, whatever. But it didn't last long because I got interested in many other projects, and yeah, you can say shiny object syndrome again. And I kind of sidetracked this one, but as a team lead at home team, I always push the game a little, always. And I did it consistently on a week to week basis, weekly basis. And gradually, things start to get changed. Like, I started to see that the game is actually coming out pretty well, and that it is actually better than my other games, which to me is quite surprising and unexpected, because honestly I was kind of sidetracking it and I was like, yeah, let's just push this project little and in the end pack it up and publish it, just like how it is always the case with home team, if I'm being honest, and I'm trying to be as honest as I can. When I realized that this game is actually good, this game is actually better, that is when I started enjoying working on this project, and my focus got too much into horror tactics. It's like laser focus on this project, and it's pretty evident by all the two videos that I made and all the tweets that I did. I actually felt like doing this. I actually felt like it is worth it, because simply because the game is getting along pretty good. The combination of three mechs, how three mechs have different abilities, and how there are weaknesses that the mechs have to avoid, and things like that. Those were actually quite fun, which is rare to me. I mean, it's been quite a long time since I've enjoyed game dev in this sense, like on a weekly basis, and I actually super enjoyed, and I'm glad that despite the fact that I have already a whole list of things to do, I was able to carry on this project, lead this project, and start this, and it's such a good product. It's such a good game that I was able to come up with in the end. So yeah, that's I think it's a big check mark with enjoying game dev. I truly enjoyed the last few weeks of developing Hover Tactics, and it's been a pleasure. Now comes the game design. The toughest part of developing this game, like, game design is the only thing that keeps me thinking when developing this game. How can I make it engaging? I think it is still not as engaging, but at least it's aesthetically pleasing, and there is an objective, and now there's a progress bars and things that really makes the player move on. But let's talk about some of the design decisions. So the first design decision that I took is that laser fences not only block movement but also blocks attacks. The attacks that the player max can do, for example, Calamity can shoot rockets, and laser fence will even block that. Or some other enemy mech shooting you, and the laser fence will block that as well. Or some projectile that the building is shooting, the laser fence will block that. It makes the game much more easier, and it kind of breaks the game into tiny levels within a huge level, which really made the game much more better. And there is a moment of relax, like player can just destroy buildings in a laser cage, and then he can just switch to other mech, and then he can play that mech, and then he can destroy buildings in another laser cage, and then he can move across the laser cages via the Wyvern mech, right? And in this way, there is a dynamic between the mechs, between the hover mechs, which I believe is only possible if the laser fences not only block the movement of the player mech and all the other mechs, but it also blocks the attacks. And there are actually some attacks that actually cross the laser fence just to make some buildings distinctive or exceptional. But there are very few. And then there's also this thing that non-moving objects are easier to deal with. And that's something I have noticed again and again. Like if I talk about all my previous projects that I have led, they have enemies that move, right? And movement is always something tricky to deal with, and something that can have a lot of bugs because AI and movement is hard, let's be honest. So the biggest benefit, the biggest thing that I have realized with hover tactics is that non-moving objects make the game development a lot easier, and it also gives more oomph, more style, more fun to the game without dealing with a lot of hard aspects of the game development, I believe. And yeah, that is just building, sitting along and shooting you, standing on its place. It may not be as much engaging. It still gives enough fun to the game. It adds a flavor to the game, I believe. That there are buildings that have those B comp or building components pop up and then they shoot at you. It's fun. And then each mech got something unique alongside a weakness, and the shield mechanic forces the player to try using other mechs. This is one of those things that we decided very early on during the development of Hover Tactics: cooperation and teamwork. Noman couldn't contribute in the game project after the initial stage, and that is something that I noticed throughout the project. He talked to me a bunch of times regarding that. He couldn't really. The initial idea and the pitch is originally of Noman, by Noman. He's the one who started this project, and Hover Tactics is in no way something that I would have ever come up with because I am really not into these kind of games. But yeah, maybe that is also the reason why I enjoyed this project, because I didn't have any expectation of it, and it is not like my other projects that I led, in which I was trying to recreate or remake some of the games that I liked. But in this case, it's one of those games that I don't know much about, and it started to feel good, and it unexpectedly got better in the end. Usually with my case, if someone else gives me the idea to develop game of this concept and this design, I end up enjoying that more for some unexpected reason. And it's not something that happened with this game. There are some other games as well where this exact same pattern happened, and someone else gave me some concept or ideas or that, hey, make game like this, and I was like, okay, let's develop this game. And even though I didn't have any expectation, when I keep developing this game, it actually got a great shape in the end. And I also asked Noman, how was the game? How do you like the game? How does it look and everything? But and he clearly said that this game is far away from his concepts. Like, not very far. Like, his vision was totally different from mine, and that is because I was the active lead. Of course, I was adding more and more into it, and so my vision and concepts get blended into the game, keep on blending, and it starts to take my shape, even though the initial shape was by was initiated. It was initiated by Noman, let's just say that. Perfectionism is something that we should all avoid, and you know we should always go with good enough. And I really tried my best to explain it to Numan, but he just couldn't get it. And I also put him on the spot by just setting him as a co-lead for a project, even though he have absolutely no experience of team developing games in team and stuff like that. So yeah, it's also partly my fault as well. With all that said, there were few nuances. For example, the UI system, it was a bit overcomplicated, you can say, and that I couldn't understand some bits of it, and I actually ignored it. I thought that I will just put on one or two layer, see a little bit, try to just figure out quickly and fix it, but it actually ended up becoming mess later on when I realized, oh, now there is this game over feature that I want to, but oh, now there is the win panel that I wanted, and this and that, and I wanted to all of them to have the same style, and I was keep using that system, but it couldn't properly fit my needs. Honestly, I could have just asked Tiago or for some changes, and but then I thought it's not a lot of time, and I was also busy with other things, so I was like, yeah, let's just get on and put up layers. And there's also the sound effects. There were a lot of sound effects added, but it was not really fitting to the style of the game and to the aesthetics of the game. Like, imagine chip-tuned sound effects with sleek and clean low poly style. I couldn't feel right about them, so I ended up uh, changing them a lot or adding my own sounds to them, right? And those sounds were not bad. It's just that those sounds were not for this game, and I still, again, same thing. I could have communicated this, but I felt like I have less time, so I didn't communicate it. I was like, yeah, it's okay. I ignored it and I moved in, and I was like, yeah, let's make the sounds myself, and no need to really talk about it. And also, one of the things that I had certain changes to the code that is already working and fine, and I do it to make it better or refactor it or just to add another design pattern that works better. And I personally believe that my coding style is wild and hectic, if those terms make sense, and that could also be the reason why people couldn't commit or contribute to programming coding tasks easily when I am doing the coding stuff. Other than that, I think I was able to do good enough job with cooperation and teamwork, even though there were issues that I just pointed out and talked about. And I think that it is better for our community to know there are some of these things that can affect us, developers or leads or contributors, right? That is all, and let's just move on to the playtime or game time. So as you can see, there's a quit button now, and if I click on credits, there are all the guys who contributed in this game. Me, Will McKay, Tiago, Flippe, Daughtry, Noman, Patrick, McNown, Abhishek, and Flip Green. So yeah, let's move on. So yeah, that's the gameplay, and I hope you liked it. There were enemies and all sorts of things in the game now, and it is a very polished game. So how about releasing the game, making it public? All good. Save. For the next week, okay, that's not how it is. The game is released. Thank you to Noman Wahid, Tiago, Will McKay, Flippe Daughtry, Patrick McKeown, Philip Green, Abhishek, Chris, and the entire HomeTeam GameDev community. For, if you guys haven't been with me, this game wouldn't have taken the shape and form that it has now, and it is such a pleasure working at HomeTeam and seeing this game till the end. And it has been a wonderful journey, especially the hover tactics. There is something I never expected it to be that good, and it actually turned out pretty good. So yeah, that's all I want to say, and I hope you guys are doing well and great. Goodbye.